The internet decided I was a monster before breakfast. By noon, my face was everywhere. By nightfall, strangers were threatening to kill me. All because of one video. 30 seconds long. Shaky footage. No context. In the clip, I looked cruel. A woman screaming at a crying child. People said I was abusive. Heartless. Dangerous. They didn't ask who I was. They didn't ask what really happened. They just watched, judged, and destroyed me. My name is Maya Lin, and in 48 hours, I lost everything. My job fired me without a call. My friends stopped replying. My phone filled with messages telling me to die. And the worst part, the people who uploaded that video were my own family. What no one knew, what they didn't expect, was that the video was edited. Not slightly. Deliberately. They cut out what happened before. They cut out what happened after. They left only the part that made me look evil. And while the world hated me, the people who framed me were smiling in private. They thought I would panic. That I would beg. That I would go online and try to explain myself. I didn't. I went silent. Because when everyone is screaming, silence makes people careless. And careless people leave evidence. This isn't just a story about cancel culture. It's about betrayal. About how easy it is to destroy a life with a lie. And how patient you have to be to burn that lie to the ground. Don't skip. Because the truth behind that video is far darker than what you think. The first time I saw the video, it wasn't on my phone. It was on a stranger's screen. I was standing in line at a coffee shop when the girl in front of me gasped. She tilted her phone slightly toward her friend and whispered, loud enough for me to hear, "Oh my God, this woman is disgusting." Her friend leaned in. "Is that the one from this morning?" "Yeah. The crazy one yelling at a kid." I didn't think anything of it at first. The internet is always angry about something. I paid, took my coffee, and turned to leave. That's when I saw my face. Frozen mid-scream. Eyes wide. Jaw tense. My stomach dropped so hard I thought I might faint. That woman on her screen was me. I walked out without my coffee. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped my keys. I sat in my car and finally pulled out my phone. I had 327 notifications. Missed calls. Messages. Tags. And one link sent over and over again with the same words. "Is this you?" I clicked it. The video opened automatically. 30 seconds. That was all it took. The clip showed a crying child on the floor and me standing over him, yelling. My voice was loud, sharp, distorted by distance and bad audio. The camera angle made me look towering. Aggressive. Cruel. There was no beginning. No context. No ending. Just me, screaming. The caption read, "This woman should never be around children." Within minutes, I saw comments scrolling faster than I could read. "Call the police." "Someone beat her ass." "Disgusting excuse for a human." "I hope she never works again." My name was already in the comments. Someone had identified me. They posted my workplace. My address. Photos from my private social media. I felt like I was drowning while the world watched. I kept replaying the video hoping, praying, I had misunderstood it. But there I was. And the worst part, the video wasn't fake. It was real. Just incomplete. What the clip didn't show was the hour before it started. The child's name was Evan. He was 6 years old. My nephew. I had been watching him that afternoon because my sister, Rachel, had begged me last minute. She said she had an emergency meeting. Promised she'd be gone only an hour. It turned into 3. Evan had been acting strange all day. Restless. Aggressive. Ignoring instructions. I chalked it up to boredom. Until I smelled smoke. I ran to the kitchen and saw the back door open. And the stove on. A towel was burning. I grabbed it with my bare hands and threw it into the sink, turning on the water just as flames climbed the cabinets. Evan stood behind me, crying. I didn't mean to, he kept saying. I didn't mean to. My heart was pounding. My hands were shaking. I knelt down, grabbed his shoulders, not hard, just firm, and said, louder than I should have, "Do you know how dangerous that was?" That was the moment the video started. Not before I saved the house. Not after I hugged him. Not after I checked him for burns. Just the part where I raised my voice. Someone had been filming from the hallway. Someone who knew exactly when to press record. When Rachel came home and I told her what happened, she didn't thank me. She looked annoyed. "You yelled at him?" she asked. "He almost burned the house down," I said. She sighed. "You're always so intense." That night, I went home exhausted, my hands blistered, my nerves fried. The next morning, my life was over. By noon, my employer called. "We've seen the video," HR said flatly. "We're placing you on immediate suspension pending investigation." By 3 p.m., they fired me. "We can't be associated with someone like this." Someone like this. By evening, my sister texted me for the first time all day. Not to ask if I was okay. Not to defend me. Just one sentence. "You shouldn't have screamed." I stared at that message for a long time. Then I realized something that made my blood run cold. Rachel had been home that afternoon. She said she was leaving, but she never actually did. And Rachel had a new phone. With a very good camera. That night, I lay in bed scrolling through the comments, watching strangers tear me apart with confidence. They didn't know me. They didn't know Evan. They didn't know what almost happened. But they were sure. The internet always is. What hurt the most wasn't the threats. It was the certainty. The way millions of people decided who I was. Without ever hearing my voice. I typed out responses. Deleted them. Typed again. Deleted again. And then I stopped. Because suddenly, everything clicked. The timing. The angle. The silence from my family. This wasn't an accident. This was a setup. And the people who destroyed me were sitting comfortably, watching the numbers climb. They thought I would break. They thought I would beg. They were wrong. Because if they wanted to turn me into a villain, I would let them. For now. The silence from my family lasted exactly 3 days. 3 days of watching my name turn into a punchline. 3 days of seeing strangers debate whether I deserved prison. 3 days of refreshing my phone like it might suddenly tell me this was all a mistake. Then my sister finally called. "Hey," Rachel said, like she was checking in after a normal workday. "How are you holding up?" I almost laughed. "How do you think?" I asked. She sighed, long and heavy. "Maya, this whole thing has blown up way more than it should have." That was the moment I knew. She wasn't surprised. She wasn't angry at the people attacking me. She was annoyed that things had gotten inconvenient. "I lost my job," I said quietly. "I know," she replied. "I saw." "You saw," I repeated. "You watched it happen." Rachel hesitated. "I didn't think it would go this far." There it was. Not "I'm sorry." Not "I tried to stop it." Just, "I didn't think." "Who filmed it?" I asked. Silence. "Rachel," I said. "Who filmed it?" She exhaled sharply. "Evan was upset. I wanted proof. In case you denied yelling." "In case I denied yelling?" My voice shook. "I saved your house." "And you traumatized my son," she shot back. "He hasn't slept properly since." That was a lie. I knew it because Evan had hugged me goodbye that night. Because he'd whispered, "I'm sorry, Aunt Maya." But lies are easier when they protect you. Why post it? I asked. Why not talk to me? Another pause. Too long. Then she said something that rewired my brain. "Because you never listen." I closed my eyes. Rachel had always resented me. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Quietly. I was the younger sister who got scholarships. The one who left our hometown. The one our parents bragged about. Rachel stayed. Married early. Had Evan young. Struggled. I helped when I could. Paid bills. Watched Evan. Covered emergencies. And somewhere along the way, help turned into leverage. You think I enjoy this? She continued. Being the screw-up? Watching you succeed while I'm stuck. So you destroyed my life? I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she said, you always looked down on me. That hurt more than the threats. Because it wasn't true. But it was convenient. After the call, I sat in my apartment, staring at the wall, replaying every interaction we'd ever had. And then I remembered something. Rachel had been fighting for full custody of Evan. Her ex-husband, Daniel, had been pushing hard. He wanted shared custody. He had money. Lawyers. Rachel was terrified of losing control. And suddenly, everything snapped into place. The video didn't just destroy me. It made her a victim. Single mother. Protecting her child from an abusive aunt. I opened my laptop and started digging. I pulled up the custody case filings. And there it was. A new document filed the same morning the video went viral. Exhibit A, evidence of unsafe family environment. My name was highlighted. The video link was attached. My hands went cold. This wasn't just revenge. It was strategy. Over the next few days, more things surfaced. Mutual friends quietly unfriended me. People stopped replying. But one person didn't. Daniel. Rachel's ex. He messaged me late one night. I don't believe the video. I stared at the screen. Then typed back. Why not? His reply came quickly. Because Evan told me the truth. My breath caught. What truth? That you saved the house. That his mom was filming. That she told him to cry. I sat there shaking. Rachel had coached her own son. I asked Daniel if he would testify. He didn't hesitate. If you need me, I'm in. That was when I stopped feeling helpless. Because helpless people panic. And I wasn't panicking anymore. I was calculating. I pulled the original file metadata from the video. It had been edited, trimmed, audio enhanced, time-stamped after Rachel claimed she'd left the house. I hired a lawyer. Not loud. Not aggressive. Patient. We subpoenaed Rachel's phone records, her cloud storage, her messages. And slowly, the story behind the story emerged. Group chats with friends laughing about how fast it spread. Messages celebrating follower counts. A text sent hours before posting. This will fix everything. Meanwhile, I stayed silent. I didn't post explanations. Didn't argue with trolls. Didn't defend myself publicly. The internet took that silence and used it against me. Notice how she's not denying it. Silence is guilt. Let them think that. Because while they were busy yelling, Rachel got sloppy. She posted a photo of Evan smiling. Captioned, "Healing takes time." People praised her. Called her brave. A hero. And that praise fed her. She started talking. To friends. To family. To anyone who would listen. And people talk too much when they think they've won. By the time she realized what I was doing, it was too late. Because I wasn't planning to defend myself. I was planning to show the world exactly why they wanted me destroyed. And when I did, no one would ever look at that video the same way again. The hardest part wasn't being hated. It was pretending I deserved it. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to explain, to post the full story, to show my burned hands, to tell people about the towel, the stove, the smoke. But I didn't. Because the internet doesn't reward truth first. It rewards confidence. And Rachel had that in abundance. She was everywhere now. Interviews. Podcasts. Short clips reposted with soft music and captions like, "A mother protecting her child." In every version of the story, I was reduced to a single word. Unstable. She's always been intense, Rachel told one influencer. I ignored the signs. That's my fault. Ignored the signs. Like she was talking about a criminal. I watched everything in silence. Not because it didn't hurt. but because silence is terrifying to people who expect you to fight back. And Rachel expected a fight. She expected tears, angry posts, public breakdowns. What she got instead was nothing. That scared her. I knew it did because she started reaching out again. First, it was subtle. A text at 1:17 a.m. "You know this wouldn't be happening if you'd just apologized." I didn't reply. Then a voicemail. "Maya, you're making this worse. People think you're guilty because you're hiding." I deleted it. The more I stayed quiet, the more she talked. Not to me, to everyone else. She started live streaming, answering questions, retelling the story with new details each time. Details that didn't match. One day, she said I'd grabbed Evan's arm. Another day, she said I'd slammed a door. Then she said something small, but fatal. "I wish I'd started recording earlier," she laughed during a live. Before she lost control. Earlier. That one word was enough. Because earlier would have shown the fire. Earlier would have shown me throwing the towel into the sink. Earlier would have ruined everything. I clipped that livestream immediately. Saved it. Timestamped it. Rachel was unraveling, and she didn't even know it. Behind the scenes, my lawyer was working quietly. No statements. No press. Just subpoenas. Rachel's phone provider confirmed the upload came directly from her device. The edit history showed trimming and audio enhancement. The raw file, the one she claimed didn't exist, did exist. She just hadn't deleted it properly. Because she never thought she'd need to. Why would she? The internet was on her side. Then something unexpected happened. Brands started reaching out to her. A parenting channel asked her to collaborate. A nonprofit invited her to speak about online child safety. Rachel was being rewarded. And rewards make people reckless. She started oversharing. Posting screenshots of messages. Behind-the-scenes stories. Even joking about how one video can change everything. I watched her confidence grow. And I waited. Because there's a moment, always, when someone who thinks they've won stops being careful. That moment came on a Thursday night. Rachel went live again. Wine glass in hand. Evan asleep in the background. "I'm tired," she said dramatically. "This whole thing has been exhausting." The comments flooded in. "You're so strong. You did the right thing. She deserves what she got." Rachel smiled. Then someone asked the question she should never have answered. "Did you really think it would go this viral?" She laughed. "Honestly," she said. "No. I thought maybe a few thousand views. Enough to make a point." Make a point. Another comment popped up. "Do you regret posting it?" Rachel shook her head. "No. It solved a lot of problems." I leaned forward. The chat exploded with curiosity. "What problems?" She hesitated. "Just a second." "But hesitation is enough." "Let's just say," she said, lowering her voice, "some people don't listen until everyone else is watching." There it was. Motive. Control. Not protection. I sent the clip to my lawyer. He replied with one sentence. "We're ready when you are." That night, I finally slept. Not because things were over, but because I knew exactly how this would end. Rachel thought silence meant weakness. She thought I was ashamed. Broken. Waiting for forgiveness. She had no idea I was building a timeline. One where every lie contradicted the last. One where every confident statement became evidence. The internet had tried me without context. Soon, I would give them all of it. But not in pieces. Not in comments. Not in interviews. I would let them watch the truth the same way they watched the lie. From start to finish. And when that happened, the silence would move to her side. And she wouldn't survive it. The trap didn't look like a trap. That was the point. From the outside, it looked like I had finally cracked. After weeks of silence, my social media came back to life with a single post. No explanation. No defense. No anger. Just one sentence. "Tomorrow night, I'll tell my side. Live. That was it. No comments enabled. No thumbnail. No teaser. Within minutes, it spread faster than the original video ever had. Reaction channels reposted it. Commentators speculated. People argued about whether I deserved a platform at all. She's trying to save herself. Too late. Damage control. Rachel saw it within the hour. I know because she texted me for the first time in weeks. This is a bad idea. I didn't reply. Another message followed. You're going to make things worse for yourself. Still nothing. Then the tone changed. If you say anything untrue, I'll correct it publicly. Correct it. Like she was the authority. That was when I knew she'd take the bait. The day of the livestream felt unreal. I woke up calm. Not relieved. Not excited. Focused. My lawyer reviewed everything one last time. Clips. Screenshots. Metadata. Court filings. All we need, he said, is for her to confirm what she already told the world. She will, I said. He looked at me carefully. You're sure? I nodded. She won't be able to help herself. Rachel had spent weeks being praised for her honesty. People don't abandon a role they're rewarded for. They lean into it. At 8 p.m., I went live. No background music. No dramatic lighting. Just me, sitting at a table, hands visible. The viewer count jumped instantly. 10,000. 50,000. 100,000. The chat scrolled too fast to read. I waited. Let them settle. Let the tension stretch. I'm not here to argue, I said finally. And I'm not here to ask you to forgive me. That confused them. I'm here to show you something, I continued. And then you can decide who I am. I didn't start with my voice. I started with timestamps. A screen share appeared beside me. A timeline. Here's the full, unedited video, I said. Recorded at 4:12 p.m. Gasps filled the chat. The clip played. The smoke. The towel catching fire. Me rushing in. Evan crying, not from fear but from shock. Then me kneeling. My voice shaking. Are you hurt? Look at me. Are you okay? The screaming part came later. Context changed everything. The chat slowed. People stopped typing. Then I showed them something else. The video you saw online was uploaded at 7:48 p.m., I said. Edited at 7:31. I highlighted the metadata. Silence. Here's the original file history, I continued. And here's who owns the device. I didn't say Rachel's name. I didn't have to. The username was visible. Her username. That's when the chat exploded. Rachel went live midstream. I didn't stop. This livestream isn't about revenge, I said calmly. It's about accountability. I pulled up her earlier interviews. Side-by-side clips. In one, she said she started recording after I yelled. In another, she said she wished she'd recorded earlier. Contradictions stacked like dominoes. Then I played the clip. The one from her wine-fueled livestream. It solved a lot of problems. The chat went feral. Rachel's livestream surged in viewers. She was crying now. Shaking. Saying I was manipulating footage. I waited. Then I showed the final piece. A court document. Exhibit A, unsafe family environment. Filed the same morning the video went viral. The video link embedded. This, I said quietly, is why the video was posted. The chat stopped moving. No emojis. No insults. Just stunned silence. I looked into the camera. I didn't go quiet because I was guilty, I said. I went quiet because I was collecting proof. I ended the stream without a goodbye. Rachel didn't. She stayed live. Too long. She tried to explain. To justify. To cry her way out. But the comments had already turned. People asked questions she couldn't answer. Why edit the video? Why file the document first? Why lie about when you recorded? She snapped. Yelled. Said she did what she had to do. That one sentence finished her. By midnight, reaction videos were everywhere. By morning, sponsors pulled out. By afternoon, her lawyer released a statement. By night, she deleted everything. But deletion doesn't erase mirrors. The internet had already saved it. I didn't celebrate. I didn't post victory laps. I just watched the narrative shift, slowly, painfully, away from me, toward the truth. Rachel tried to call me that night. I let it ring. Because the trap had never been about humiliating her. It was about letting her speak freely. Long enough to bury herself. The fall wasn't loud at first. There was no single headline that said Rachel was lying. No dramatic apology. No clean ending. It started with silence. The kind of silence that comes after a crowd realizes it's been cheering the wrong person. The morning after my livestream, I woke up to a different internet. My name was no longer trending. Rachel's was. But the tone had changed. The same accounts that had called me a monster were now posting things like, "Wait, this doesn't add up. Why was the custody document filed before the video went viral? She edited it?" People don't like being tricked. They especially don't like realizing they helped destroy someone innocent. That discomfort turns into anger fast. And Rachel was the nearest target. By noon, the parenting channel quietly removed her collaboration announcement. By 2 p.m., the nonprofit deleted their post featuring her quote. By evening, her follower count was dropping by the thousands. She went private. Too late. Screenshots don't care about privacy settings. Meanwhile, my lawyer moved. Fast. The livestream had done exactly what we needed it to do. It created public record. Every clip. Every contradiction. Every admission. We filed a civil suit for defamation, emotional distress, and loss of income. And then we forwarded everything to family court. Rachel's custody case was no longer hypothetical. It was radioactive. Daniel called me that night. "They pulled the emergency hearing," he said quietly. "Tomorrow morning." I closed my eyes. For weeks, I'd been in survival mode. Anger had kept me upright. Focus had kept me moving. Now, something else crept in. Guilt. Not because I'd done anything wrong, but because I knew what was coming. Rachel had used Evan as a shield. And shields break first. The hearing was closed to the public. But the consequences weren't. The judge didn't yell. Didn't lecture. He didn't need to. He just asked questions. "Miss Collins, when exactly did you begin recording? Why was the video edited? Why was the exhibit filed before the incident went viral?" Rachel cried. Said she was scared. That she felt threatened. That she acted emotionally. The judge listened. Then asked one final question. "Did you consider what would happen to your son if this was discovered?" Rachel didn't answer. Because the answer was obvious. By the end of the day, the court issued a temporary order. Shared custody suspended. Supervised visits only. Rachel screamed in the hallway. Daniel held Evan's hand and walked past her without stopping. That image hit the internet hard. Not because it was leaked, but because Rachel posted about it herself. A shaky selfie video. Tears. Mascara running. Voice breaking. "They're taking my child," she sobbed. "Because of lies. Because of her." She pointed off-screen. At me. The comments were brutal. "You did this. You used your kid. Stop blaming her." Rachel deleted the video within an hour. It had already been saved. That night, she finally messaged me again. Not angry. Not threatening. Begging. "Please. You've made your point. I can't lose him." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I typed one sentence. "You already chose this." She called. I didn't answer. Because this wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about consequences. The civil case moved quickly. Brands submitted statements confirming they'd cut ties because of the viral video. My former employer provided documentation showing the termination was directly linked to public backlash. The number attached to the damages made Rachel's lawyer go very quiet. And then came the part she hadn't expected. Friends disappeared. Not slowly. Instantly. The same people who had shared her posts stopped tagging her. Stopped defending her. Stopped answering her calls. Because being associated with a liar is expensive. Rachel tried one last time to regain control. She released a written apology. Carefully worded. Lawyer approved. I never intended harm. I acted out of fear. I regret how things escalated. It didn't work. Apologies don't land when receipts are still circulating. People weren't angry anymore. They were done. The internet moved on. But Rachel didn't. She lost sponsorships. Lost credibility. Lost the version of herself that had been praised. And she lost Evan's trust. Daniel told me later that Evan had asked a question that stopped him cold. Why did Mom need people to hate Aunt Maya? There was no answer that didn't hurt. As for me, I didn't return to my old job. I didn't go back to the life I had before the video. Because that life was built on an assumption that truth protects you. It doesn't. Evidence does. Patience does. And silence, when used correctly, does more damage than screaming ever could. The last thing I heard about Rachel came months later. The civil case settled quietly. No press release. No statement. Just a number transferred. And a condition. She was never allowed to post about me again. Ever. Sometimes people ask if I feel bad. If I regret not speaking sooner. I don't. Because if I had spoken when they wanted me to, I would have been dismissed as emotional. Instead, I let them talk. And talk. And talk. Until the truth had nowhere left to hide. The strangest part wasn't the quiet. It was how normal it felt. After weeks of chaos, of notifications, headlines, reactions, the world didn't end when the story stopped trending. It simply moved on, the way it always does, leaving behind only the people who actually had to live with the aftermath. I moved out of my apartment 2 weeks after the settlement. Not because I couldn't afford it anymore, but because every corner of that place still carried echoes of who I'd been before the video. Before my face became a symbol. Before my name became a debate. I didn't want to rebuild on top of ruins. So I left. I found a small place in a quiet town where no one recognized me. No one whispered. No one stared a second too long. The grocery clerk didn't know my story. My neighbors didn't Google my name. I was just another person buying bread, taking walks, living. And that felt like freedom. I took time before working again. Not because I was broken, but because I needed to relearn who I was without an audience. For years, I had measured myself by productivity, by approval, by how useful I was to other people. That mindset was what made me easy to sacrifice. So I changed it. I started volunteering at a community center. Not with children, not at first. I wasn't ready for that yet. I worked with adults learning basic tech skills. People who had been left behind by systems that assumed they'd catch up on their own. It was quiet work. Unimpressive. Honest. No one filmed me. No one praised me. And I didn't need them to. Occasionally, someone would recognize me. It happened less than you'd think. The internet has a short memory when you're no longer useful as a villain. When it did happen, it was never dramatic. Just a pause. A careful look. Then a soft, awkward question. Are you or? Sometimes I said yes. Sometimes I said no. Both answers were true in different ways. Rachel didn't contact me again. Not after the settlement. Not after the custody ruling became permanent. Through Daniel, I heard pieces. Rachel moved in with a friend. Then another. She tried to start over online, new accounts, vague content. None of it lasted. Trust, once broken publicly, is almost impossible to monetize again. She wasn't hated anymore. She was irrelevant. And that, I think, hurt her more. Evan wrote me a letter 6 months later. Not an email. A letter. His handwriting was careful, uneven. He told me about school, about his dog, about how he still remembered the fire. Then one line stopped me cold. "I know you weren't yelling because you were mad. You were scared." I folded the letter and cried harder than I had at any point during the scandal. Not from sadness. From relief. Because the one person who mattered most had never believed the lie. Daniel asked if I wanted to see Evan. I said yes, but slowly. We met in a park. Neutral ground. Evan ran up to me like no time had passed. Rachel didn't come. She wasn't allowed to. And I didn't ask about her. Some questions don't need answers to heal. People often expect endings to be loud. Revenge. Victory speeches. Public apologies. This wasn't that kind of story. There was no final confrontation. No moment where Rachel truly understood the damage she'd done. But there was something better. There was distance. There was peace. There was the knowledge that I didn't become cruel to prove I wasn't. I didn't need to destroy her life to save my own. She did that herself, one confident lie at a time. Sometimes, late at night, I think about the video. About how easily it rewrote me. How quickly millions of people decided they knew my heart from 30 seconds of noise. It used to make me angry. Now it just makes me careful. Careful with judgment. Careful with certainty. Careful with stories that feel too simple to be real. Because real life is messy. Context matters. And truth rarely arrives first. If there's one thing I learned, it's this. Silence isn't weakness. Sometimes it's strategy. Sometimes it's self-respect. And sometimes, it's the only way to let the truth gather enough weight to stand on its own. The internet forgot me. That's okay. I didn't survive this to be remembered. I survived it to live. And this time, no one gets to decide who I am for me.